Daily learning.
Hi, thank you for clicking this video. This time we're going to do a simple and cozy listening practice for you who's still beginner in learning English. On tough days and through long nights, when the world feels a little too heavy to hold, I hope this story finds you gently. May it accompany you in your quiet moments, your resting time, like a soft rain tapping on your window, reminding you that you are not alone. Wherever you are, whatever you're going through, take a deep breath and let this piece of peace be your companion. When the rain comes, there is something profoundly comforting about the way the rain returns to this world, not with noise or grandeur, but with a quiet insistence that feels like a hand reaching gently into the heart, reminding me of everything soft and slow and sacred that I sometimes forget in the rush of everyday life. And every time it begins, I stop whatever I'm doing, because something inside me knows that when the rain comes, it brings more than just water. It brings memory, feeling, silence, and song. My favorite thing to do when the sky darkens and the first few drops begin to tap against the glass of my bedroom window is to settle into the corner near the bookshelf where the light falls just right and the window opens to the old street lined with trees whose leaves seem to lean closer when they're kissed by rain. And I sit there quietly, wrapped in a blanket I've had for years, the kind that smells faintly of lavender and old pages, and I listen. Not just with my ears, but with my entire being to the rhythm that only the rain can create. It's not just the sound that I love, though that alone would be enough to still my restless heart. It's the scent that comes with it, that earthy, damp fragrance that rises from the ground as though the soil itself were exhaling. A scent that carries with it the memory of gardens after dusk and childhood afternoons spent jumping into puddles without thinking twice about wet socks or scolding voices. And when that scent arrives, I know the rain has truly begun to speak to me again. I almost always reach for the same book, one I've read countless times, a novel with dog-eared pages and underlined sentences that have grown familiar over the years. A book I keep not because I need the story, but because the story reminds me of who I was when I first read it. And I rest it on my lap while my fingers cradle a mug of warm tea, the steam rising in gentle curls that blur the edge of the window pane and make everything outside look like a dream just slightly out of reach. Sometimes I read, and sometimes I just watch, letting my thoughts drift like leaves on the stream of the falling rain. And the world outside my window always seems to soften during these hours, as though the rain were washing not just the pavement and the leaves and the roofs of the houses, but also the hardness of the world itself, the noise and rush and worry fading into the hush of the storm. But there are other times too, days when the rain falls so freely and the wind carries it in wide arcs across the street, and something stirs in me that refuses to be still. And those are the moments I rise from my quiet corner and reach for my old yellow raincoat, the one with sleeves too long and a pocket torn at the edge. And I walk outside slowly, feeling the air grow heavy and cool against my skin, letting the drops kiss my face without flinching, because there is a wild kind of peace in letting yourself be drenched by something that asks for nothing in return. I've always found it beautiful how the rain blurs the lines between strangers. How people at the bus stop, standing beneath the same awning, will offer shy smiles to one another, bonded for a moment by the weather. how children leap into puddles with such abandon that even the most tired passers-by can't help but laugh, and how the world, soaked and shimmering, seems to glow in a quieter, more honest way than it ever does under the bright sun. There's something sacred about those walks in the rain, something that slows down my thoughts and brings forward all the things I've kept buried. The faces of people I've loved and lost, the words I never had the courage to say, the songs I used to hum beneath my breath when I thought no one was listening. And in those moments, it's as though the rain has become a mirror not for my reflection, but for the pieces of my soul I sometimes forget are there. I think that's why I keep writing every time it rains. Not because I always know what I want to say, but because the rain opens something inside me that can't remain quiet. And I fill my journal with letters that I'll never send, confessions to the sky, and small poems that try to capture the way the leaves look when they shine beneath the storm, or the way the streetlights flicker like stars caught in puddles after dusk. When the rain starts to fade and the world slowly dries, I don't feel sadness, but rather a kind of gratitude that I've been reminded again of the softness that still lives within me. The gentleness I so often neglect, the dreams that sleep under the surface of my everyday routine. And as the sky begins to clear, I find myself breathing deeper, more steadily, as though my lungs have been washed clean of the dust of distraction. And so this pattern continues again and again, through the seasons and years, the rain coming back as it always does, unannounced but never unwelcome. And every time it does, I return to myself a little more whole, a little more aware, a little more in love with the quiet magic that lingers in every drop. People sometimes ask why I love the rain so deeply, and I suppose there are many ways I could answer, but perhaps the truest one is this. When the rain comes, I feel more alive than at any other time, not because I am doing something extraordinary, but because the rain reminds me to be still, to listen, to remember, and to feel without apology. And as I sit here again today, by this same old window, the clouds gathering slowly above like old friends returning from a long journey, I know the rain is coming, and I welcome it. Not with umbrellas or hesitation, but with open arms, an open heart, and the same quiet joy that always rises in me when the world begins to fall gently apart just long enough to be made new again. Thank you for letting this quiet, rain-soaked story sit with you for a while. I hope it brought a bit of warmth, a soft sigh of calm, or perhaps a gentle reminder that even in the grayest moments, there is beauty waiting to be noticed. Take care of your heart, cherish the silence, and when the rain comes again, may you always find comfort in its song. Until we meet again next time, may peace, poetry, and a little bit of rain follow you wherever you go.